Hi, it's me. I'm going to be doing a whole venting vlog about special ed. If you followed some of my videos, you've heard me kind of vent about a special ed class I did last year. I did kindergarten special ed last year. Let me go back in time, back to 2006 and 2009. Both of those years I was a special ed aide, mostly for RSP. RSP means it's a general education class, but there's a few students that you have to watch because they may not follow along as well as a regular student. And then back in 2009, I had mostly RSP classes and then one special ed class, which it was fine. It was like 12 kids. There was three of us aides. We walked around, helped the kids with their work. No major issues. So I left, and I've been back and forth doing massage therapy and being a substitute teacher. I did the subbing for 3 years. So I decided to go back to being an aide for some stability, for like stable income. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll just go back to being an aide, no big deal. Went to kindergarten, and as you guys know from my past videos, I got thrown into a kindergarten class. No warning, no heads up, and the kids were violent. We got injured, all kinds of stuff, and no one said anything to us. And I got thrown into the world of special ed, even though I had been in it before with my previous aid jobs. I wasn't thrown into violence and lack of information and a bunch of assumptions and everything. It was not a good situation. I got thrown in there, got attitude from the teacher, had principal and everyone saying, "Oh, we just thought you knew what to do." And it's like, how are we supposed to know what to do if you're not telling us? Yeah, it makes zero sense. So the whole year, like I said, we got abused. There was not much training. Um, a lot of excuses. I went down to the district and told them, "Hey, we're being abused. Like, we don't know what to do with these kids. They're throwing tantrums. We don't know." "Oh, well, you guys should know already." Well, I said, "How are we supposed to know if you aren't telling us?" So basically, I decided to leave that because they were cutting my hours, number one, and then they were cutting our pay. So it's like, no, I'm not going to go back to that. So back in August, right before the school year started, I got a job, 8-hour job with a company called Altus Academy. So basically, it's special needs students who, on their main campus, it's kids who can't be on a regular school campus. I got hired, and many of us got hired to do off-site. So basically, I'm working at a school with one-on-one with a student. My student is autistic, and he's in a special ed class, 7th grade. Um, the issue with this is that he doesn't belong there, and other staff are saying he doesn't belong there. He has massive fits over anything. Some of it is legit, some of it isn't. He doesn't do a lot of his work. There's always an excuse, and it's hard because you don't know, is it the autism or is it just him being lazy? Because in the kindergarten class, we had kids that, they knew what they were doing. They knew that they knew how to do their work, but whoops, but sometimes they would play like, oh well, um, oh yeah, I don't know how to do this when they did. And my student kind of does that. There's always an excuse. It's too loud, it's too cold, it's too hot, I can't do it, it's too hard. And it's like he just thinks that he can just not do work and he's gonna get a good grade. Not how it works. So I have to be very firm with him and say, knock it off. We're in 7th grade, and we had an incident last week where we did a project and he had to pick a color for the background, and he had a 10-minute crying, screaming fit in the hallway where he almost walked right into another classroom, like walked right past the classroom, open mouth, screaming and crying like a toddler. And one of the students actually had to close the door because he was being that loud. And I said, "You need to calm down." I said, "We're in 7th grade. We do not scream and cry like that." And I asked him, like, "What's the problem? Why can't you pick the color?" He said, "It's too hard to pick a color." I said, "It's hard to pick a color." And again, I don't know if this is autism. I don't know if he's just being spoiled because, unfortunately, from what I've heard, many of these kids are very spoiled and the parents don't do their part. We're just going to give you whatever you want so you don't have your tantrum. He wanted me to pretty much do his assignment for him. And finally, I told him, I said basically he had to knock it off. I gave him a couple minutes to cool down, and we took him back inside and he picked a color. Like, I'm not doing that for you. And there's just other times where he talks about it's too loud, the class isn't loud. It's just people talking, or even the teacher talking. He'll be like, "It's too loud." I'm like, "No, it's not. The teacher's talking. He's allowed to talk." And the issue we have is that the kids have three different teachers. They have the PE teacher, they have a teacher for math and science, and they have a teacher for history, language arts, and reading, and advisory. This school district has seven periods. I'm used to six, but for their for four of their classes, the teacher that's supposed to be there has never shown up. She was supposed to come back in September because she had some personal health stuff going on, and she's never come back. And everyone keeps telling me she's not coming back. I guess last year, from what I heard, she had all grade levels in one class and like no support. The aide was on and off there. She had health issues. She didn't get much support, and it's just like no wonder she didn't come back. And that's the thing with special ed. It's like we're supposed to get support and training. We're supposed to get the most support and training, and there's none. So far with this district, I got the ProAct training, which is where you deal with stances that you take in case a student tries to attack you, or what else? We had a minor aid training. They were supposed to do more throughout the year, but it's more about like it was just an intro training, like, don't put stuff up out there on the internet. Don't put like kids' names out there. I'm kind of putting stuff out there, but I'm not saying like, oh, the name of the school, the name of the student. Like, you don't put stuff up like that. Not to put on social media, and then they're going to do more trainings about like specific issues. So they ask us, hey, let us know what you want us to talk about, which is good because we need to know, we need to tell them, okay, this is what we need to know. Like me working with autistic student, I need to know what to do when they have a tantrum. All they tell you is avoid the tantrum, know what sets them off so you can avoid it. But no, certain things you can't avoid. If we're doing work, you need to do your work. I can't avoid, oh, it's okay, just don't do your work. We need to avoid the tantrum. No. Like tomorrow, we have a spelling test. He freaks out over every spelling test. He freaks out because the class might be too loud. The teacher might go too fast. And then today, he freaked out because our class was loud, and also because he didn't know some of the words, so he freaks out. And it's like, well, I almost said his good name, to the student, you, um, you need to study. And I put it on there, he needs to study. And for the most part, he knows his words, but sometimes he doesn't study. So that he instead of missing one word, he might miss four, which he freaks out over. And it's okay. Well, we told you to study. I can't. It's too hard. It's like, well, and that's what I'm saying. Like stuff like that, outbursts like that during tests, it affects the whole class. So he doesn't belong in that setting. And then also, there's certain students who don't care. They know that he doesn't like noise, and some of the kids will purposely make noise to annoy him. Like we had a student the other day, he was making noise. I said, you guys, you know that he doesn't like it. It's not my problem, and they don't care. And so today we had an incident where, because we've had a sub the whole time, the kids had a sub the first month of August. She left 2 days early because she was over it. We had a sub for 2 days. We had a sub for one day, and then we're ending our second week with a sub. I'm not sure how long he's going to be there for, but this kid just walk all over him. They've walked over pretty much every sub because when they used to have subs, there's no substance. The beginning of the school year, we had a support teacher who's very strict, and we have an aide who's pretty strict, but they're not really much there anymore. They're kind of here and there whenever they feel like it. I mean, I know they have things to do, but it's just they're not there that much. So because they're not there, it's like, oh, okay, we can just do whatever we want because the teacher who's subbing now isn't doing much disciplinary wise. This week he kind of stepped it up. Last week he was pretty casual, but he stepped it up, but he still hasn't really gone through with certain threats. Like if I was subbing and I had kids doing that, security is being called immediately. It had to get very, very, very far in order for him to get security. Like he basically told me, is there someone we can call to get him out of here? So I told the kids, I said, this is enough. I said, you guys are taking it too far now. So I ran up to the front and got security to come and take out two of the kids. We had a couple kids. Well, we have four boys in there. And the other day, they were busy running around class, wrestling, calling the girls very vulgar names, saying racist comments, sexist comments. And the teacher didn't say anything. And a couple of girls came to me. They said, the teacher's not doing anything. Like, what's going on? So me and my student, we walked out early. We usually leave 5 minutes before the bell rings so he can go to the bus because he doesn't like the crowds and the noise. We left about 10 minutes early because, and my student turned to me and said, "Can we just leave now?" I said, "Yeah," because it was just out of control. And the teacher was sitting there drinking his protein shake. Just, he's like, "Well, I'm waiting for you guys to quiet down." And nothing's being done. They're throwing paper balls, throwing paper airplanes, and nothing's being done about it. I know the vice principal came today to deal with the eighth graders because they're worse, but we need to have someone come down and talk. And I'm in charge of this student, and like I said, I don't feel like this is the right environment for him because they're not catering to him, and to be honest, he's not catering to them. Everything can't be modified for him. He's the only student who acts like that in the class. Um, yeah, so it's a hard situation, especially when they're not catering to the students. Like last year, I mentioned in my vlogs that we had students that were violent and they should have had a 101 aid and they didn't have one. And we got excuses, well, is that really going to make a difference? Or, oh, well, do you think they're going to know what to do? And it's like, okay, so we're just supposed to deal with it? And then also, yeah, so I need to go down to the school that hired me, the academy, and see what they can do about it because he doesn't belong in that environment. And they're, as far as I know, they don't have a long-term teacher for to be there for the whole year. They don't have a long-term teacher. They don't have. There hasn't been much discipline. So, like I said, a couple days ago, there was four boys who were yelling, screaming. So I guess two of the girls complained, and today the vice principal came and took out three of the boys. One of them came back, and then him and another boy, they were just yelling and screaming. So they got removed, and then when I left, I saw them just leave the office. So I don't know if they're suspended or what's going on. I don't know, but with the four of them gone, it's a difference in the class. It's crazy how like one or two students can affect the whole class. So it was just crazy that the students had to come to me and they're like, thank you. When I said I was gonna go get security, they said, oh, thank you, because they were annoyed. They're being called names. Like one girl was called fat, another girl was told, go back on your slave ship. This particular student, he also said a racist comment to the sub that we had the first time. He called her a nappy-headed hoe. And the teacher didn't even say anything. I'm sorry, if someone said that to me, I'm telling you, get the bleep out of the class. Well, maybe not cuss. But I mean, I've had problem students before, and I said, okay, just leave. I said leave, and then I would call and say, hey, there's a student. I kicked him out of class. Can you please get him? Yeah, because it affects the whole class, and it's not fair. And yeah, it's crazy. So I'm gonna see what happens tomorrow. If any of those boys come back, I don't know if they're suspended or just got sent home for the day or whatever happened, but it's not okay. And then to be blunt, the sub needs to step it up and follow through with his threats. And also, this other incident that happened was a couple days ago. My student, I guess he was being picked on by one of the boys, one of the problem boys, and the vice principal caught it and asked the aide who was watching my student while I had lunch, well, where's his aide at? And he said, well, she's having lunch. Well, no, she needs to be with him. And I told the aide, I said, so I'm not supposed to have lunch? And she says, well, her thing is that you need to be with him during lunch, and then someone else can be with him during class time because it's a controlled environment. And I said, but I'm supposed to be with him during that period. I mean, they know him more, they've known him longer than I have. So, I mean, I trust him and stuff, but it's my job to be with him. I have to write a note to his mom every day saying, hey, this is what he did today in class. This was his behaviors. So I'm missing like probably 80% of that period because I'm at lunch now. And I just didn't like that the student was disciplined. And the aide even asked the question to the vice principal and said, why don't you discipline the student? You saw him making noises. I guess he like poked him or something, and my student didn't want him touching him. And then she kept going back to, well, where's his aide? If she was with him, that wouldn't be happening. And it's not true. It would be happening in front of me. So that's what I'm talking about, going back to special ed, is that they're not taking responsibility. They know there's problem students. They know that my student probably doesn't belong there. And it's always, oh, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. No, like you guys are the principal, vice principal, step up and discipline. You see him picking on a student who's autistic, and you're just like, oh, well, where's his aide? Is Yeah, the aide that was watching him, she was completely confused. Like she felt bad. She's, oh, I feel like I got you in trouble. I said, well, no. I was like, I don't really feel like you did. She goes, oh, I feel like I did, because I guess she felt like she should have maybe watched him a little bit better. But during lunch, he just walks around. I'm not gonna hover over him and be like, oh, okay, need to watch every single thing that you're doing. I'm not gonna do that. So I have to take lunch like half an hour later now, and I'm already starved as usual. Um, so yeah, that's what's been going on. And we're still trying to find a set teacher for that class for the 4 periods. Um, and I need to go down to the school and say he doesn't belong there. Like I said, vice versa. He interrupts class and they bother him. And he does certain behaviors that, aren't appropriate for a seventh grader to do, especially like in public. You might do that in private, but you don't do that in public. Like he'll pick his nose in front of everyone. And I'm like there's just certain social behaviors that you're not supposed to do. Or what he got caught doing a few times was he picks his butt in front of the class. Some people have caught him, some people have not. I'm like, don't do that. He's like, sorry, and then he'll do it 2 seconds later. It's like there's just certain social skills that he doesn't get, like certain behaviors you don't do in public in front of people. He was picking in his behind and then smelling it. And one of the students was like, and he looked at me, I said, sorry. I mean, I think they understood, but they were just like, wow, he actually did that in front of us. That he wasn't being discreet or anything. And he'll just be digging his nose, digging his nose. I'm like, stop. And some of the kids were like, yeah, they're like in shock because you do that. If you do that, you do that in private. You don't do that in front of a group of people. Or like the other day, he just like ran into a teacher, and the teacher looked at him like, they don't understand. You don't just run into someone. He just like ran into, like elbowed, hit his shoulder into the teacher. They don't get it. The social skills are not good. So yeah, I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna see if my students can be staying there. Because if he leaves, then I have to either go with him or maybe assign someplace else. Um, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, is this as stressful as last year? Absolutely not. But it's still stressful because it's like you're in charge of the student. I'm one on one. I've never been one on one with a student before. And I have to report to his mom. I have to report to my site and say, hey, listen, no, like, this is not an environment for him. And that's selfish of the parents to throw him into a public school. And he doesn't have social skills. He's antisocial, doesn't have friends. And the kids try to talk to him and he just wants nothing to do with them. The kids have tried to be nice and he'll tell them to shut up or smack them. And you're going to throw your kids in that and make everyone else uncomfortable? That's a bit selfish. It's better for him to go to a school like Altus where it's a very condensed classroom. There might be 4 or 5 students, or if there is 10, there's like 4 or 5 aides in the classroom. That's a better environment. Well, anyway, these are my adventures in special ed. Um, this is why whenever I do teach, it will be a general ed class because I'm not doing special ed. There's not a lot of support for the teachers or for the staff, which is why we have a teacher that's refusing to come back. Um, yeah, so that's it. If you have any advice about autistic students or about if you worked in special ed before, you want to give me advice or just vent, let me know. Um, yeah, I mean, that's just how it is, and it's a growing experience. Like I said, my first 2 years in RSP and SDC, I didn't have any of this happening. In the past 2 years, it's been very eye-opening. Very eye-opening. I'm very cautious to get the word out about special ed and about the lack of support that the teachers get. We have a teacher having a breakdown, doesn't want to come back. Last year I purposely took days off because I did not want to be there. I was actually happy to be sick, so because I didn't want to be there. The aides, we're supposed to know what to do. Wait, you didn't know that you're supposed to do this? Like, really? And to have a vice principal not discipline a student who's acting up, that's who's picking on a special ed student, that's not stepping up to the plate. But anyway, that's all I have to say for now. I needed to vent. And yeah, that's it. Bye.